All right, good morning, everybody. Do we have communications there in Carson City?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, well, if you are ready, we will kick off the scheduled meeting for the Transportation Board of Directors, scheduled for today, 9:30 a.m., Monday, April 14th, 2025. And we'll kick it off with the roll call.
Good morning, Governor Joe Lombardo.
Present.
Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony.
Here.
Controller Andy Matthews.
Here.
Member Virginia Valentine.
Here.
Member Frank Lepre.
Here.
Member Justin Kolb.
Here.
And Member Gary Perea.
Here.
Governor, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, the first opportunity for public comment. Public comment may be provided in person or by calling 775-888-7440. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. The chair of the board will impose a 3-minute time limit. Is there anybody there for public comment in Carson City?
No, sir. We have no one signed up for comment.
We have anybody here today? Las Vegas? Seeing none? Anybody online or on the phone?
No, sir.
Okay, we will close first opportunity for public comment. Move on to agenda item number 3 and receive the director's report, informational only item. Director Larkin.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So on this first slide, I just want to say during the first quarter of 2025, Nevada experienced a 3% decrease in traffic-related fatalities. But while the fatalities declined, the fatal crashes actually increased by just over 3%. This suggests a higher number of serious crashes occurred, but with fewer resulting in loss of life. Pedestrian fatalities also showed a significant improvement, down nearly 15%, which is a really good sign. However, motorcycle fatalities rose about 24%, and bicycle fatalities also rose. So we will be reporting on this just quarterly, kind of just to give people a kind of a sense of where we are in the state. This next slide, I want to talk about the Driver's Edge program. It's a strategic highway safety plan and a key area to support the training and development of young drivers. The program itself is run by the Nevada Department of Public Safety, Office of Traffic Safety, OTS, and they receive much of the funding from federal highway dollars dedicated to safety. The program itself is 4.5 hours of training to new drivers 21 and under. It's learned how to engage the brakes. It's how to control skids, swerving, defensive driving. That NDOT is an active participant for the program. We provide like water trucks to create some of the icy and the skidding conditions, hydroplaning. It is a really great program. We've been doing it probably about 20 years. I took my kids there when they were learning to drive. It really is phenomenal for learning how to control a skid and get that feel. The upcoming Driver's Edge event, so in Vegas, it will be May 30th through June 1st at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and in Reno, July 24th through the 27th, and September 5th through September 7th. And that's held at the Regional Public Safety Training Program. It is run by a private firm, but it's in conjunction with us. Like I said, it's a really great program for young drivers. The Work Zone Safety Awareness Week is April 21st to 25th. There's an average of about 1,500 crashes in Nevada work zones every year. That's about 3% of all crashes statewide. The percentage is not long, but the motorist driving unsafely in work zone really has potential for catastrophic injury or death. There's currently a bill, AB 402, on automated enforcement in construction zones that we are tracking. And then we'll also be working with the AGC on some of the work zone safety educational campaigns, such as Respect the Cone. So you'll be seeing a lot more. Seen some events throughout April. The next,
before you go off that, Ms. Larkin, where are we at with the parked vehicle presence in the work zones up north?
they're available. They have not been used ever since the bill passed. There has been law enforcement that's been available to be on the work zones.
So they haven't used them in lieu of law enforcement.
They have not used them because law enforcement has been there.
Okay. And who has the vehicles?
NDOT has the vehicles over on the Galletti Way job, and then if the project was there, we were actually transfer the vehicle to the contractor itself for the duration of the project. But we have not at this point.
Okay, thank you.
On the next slide, we're going to talk about NDOT Excellent in Partnering Award. This recognizes NDOT and contractor teams who excel in partnering to successfully complete projects that benefit the traveling public. The awards really celebrate successful project partnerships, and this program has been in place for roughly 15 years. It establishes partnering charters, sets goals and expectations, hold routine meetings to address construction needs, and this helps minimize potential construction claims through a structured conflict resolution and teamwork. A call for projects was sent out on October 2024 by the Construction Division, and applications were reviewed. Contract 4500 was selected as the 2024 NDOT Excellent Partnering Gold Award recipient. This $21 million project south of Gardnerville, located on US 395 from the California-Nevada line to a few miles north of Leviathan Mine Road, consisted of pavement rehabilitation, the addition of new passing lanes, as well as hydraulic lighting and ITS improvements. The team met challenges early on scheduling issues due to delays caused by long lead times, delayed additions of new passing lanes, and also some other public concerns on delays. This also, one of the key things is piloted the NDOT's e-ticketing program for paving, so electronic documentation. And so we would like to list those who are receiving this gold award for NDOT Construction Crew 907, Wesley Osmer, resident engineer, Matt Roberts, professional engineer, NDOT District 2 leadership, Bhupinder Sandhu, he's a District 2 engineer, Alma Pacino Ramirez, District 2 assistant engineer, the consultant, CA Group, Sam Sliger, who's the consultant office manager, and Mark Cooper, who's the assistant resident engineer consultant. The contractor was Granite Construction, project manager Andrew Howard, and project engineer Andrew Klinkrot. Subcontractor Titan Electrical, with the program manager Bart Steninger and project manager Ryan Greenbaum. So they're all in Carson City. So if they could come up, and if you wouldn't mind, Governor and Andy and Frank, doing a picture with them. And congratulations.
You guys stare, you guys. Congratulations. Thanks. I have three more, so I'm not sure who gets. Well, contractor is the grass. Is that right? No. Yes. Sorry, don't get a.
I give you line up here.
What's up, Mark?
All right, we can scrunch a little closer together. I'll make this quick.
Like half the room.
And smile. I'm going to get a few, okay? A few more. And just one more, guys. Another smile. Take just a second. Thank you. Congratulations.
Well, thank you and congratulations.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you and congratulations. And I don't know if the Lieutenant Governor wants to put something on the record on behalf of the employees.
Congratulations.
Always eloquent.
It's concise and to the point. Okay, next one will be an update on the I-15 Tropicana. There's only a few more months of updates. These pictures show the recent progress made on the Tropicana interchange. On the left are photos taken in September of 24, and on the right, photos taken in late February. It's back to its standard layout after years as a diverging diamond interchange, which was always temporary, but it's back to your straight, just going straight, the lanes going straight across the bridge. It still is 2 lanes in each direction, but it will soon, in another month or so, it will be back to 4 lanes in each direction over the I-15. The Frank Sinatra Drive Arena drive-off ramp is expected to open later this month, and the remainder of the on-off ramps of Tropicana are expected to open by early May. Most importantly, the project is still on schedule to be completed in September with substantial completion in August. Again, that is one project I will be very happy to see successfully completed. Yeah,
Everybody will be. Hey, Tracy, just a matter of reference. So we're looking at a 3-year timeline, right? 3.5 year it'll end up being.
yes.
Is that what we projected at the beginning?
I wasn't here when it started, but
You know,
but
Mario?
So we
I,
had
I think it was just some delays due to utility work, but it was probably delayed by about 6, 8 months.
Did the F1 cause the significant delay or no?
No,
No? Okay. Nor the Super Bowl.
no, and we were not in the news. I always said that was my most successful part about the Super Bowl and F1.
Well, I think it's great. Fantastic. And then I think we're in close proximity of the county finishing the I-15, 215.
Yes,
Yeah, right. I drove on that over the weekend.
yes, or you can get off on Decatur now early, and
Yep.
it's moving over. So yes, that whole area is kind of cleaning up a little bit, made it freer. So now we'll just move the bottleneck somewhere else, but give people a little relief in between.
There you go.
The roadway rehabilitation project is on US 95 through Searchlight, covering approximately 20 miles. This includes milling and paving, adding new signage and striping, drainage upgrades, repairing fences, and installing tortoise fencing to safeguard local wildlife. Work began March 10th and is expected to conclude by late November. This spring, we will also begin an I-215 preservation project from Las Vegas Boulevard to Windmill Lane. This will include mill and fill over existing pavement, structure repairs, ADA upgrades, and some technical upgrades for signals, lighting, and ITS. Nighttime closures will be used to minimize disruption. And this project is starting in May. It should be starting May 10th. That is the scheduled start, notice to proceed. US 50 East Shore repaving. We launched the project to resurface 13 miles of US 50 from US State Route 28 intersection to the Nevada-California border at state line. It's replacing 3 inches of roadway surface. And we're going to state again, there is no reduction in the number of lanes, but we're also saying the striping lines will be wider for safety. So there'll still be the same amount of pavement and the same amount of lanes. They'll be placing centerline rumble strips between Spooner Pass and Glenbrook and replace the roadside guardrail. A fiber optic trunk line will also be installed to connect ITS systems and provide a pathway for other communication services. And that's good enough, that one.
Yeah, that's a.
Okay. State Route 28 Multi-Agency Open House. This is hosted by the Tahoe Transportation District, and NDOT will be there to provide information on our upcoming project to install a parking and transit hub on SR 28. The demand for parking on the corridor well exceeds twice the amount of available spots. And on peak visitation days, thousands of vehicles park on SR 28 shoulders, creating a lot of safety and access concerns. It's just not a very wide road. The Tahoe Transportation District and other agencies will present their planned roadway parking transit improvements. And the transit parking hub was scheduled to begin its construction in 2026. On SR 227, Lamoille Highway. Uh-huh.
Outside main road, or is there asphalt, or what is you mean by parking?
That is
Governor,
the,
We're
Go ahead.
unable to hear The governor, we could,
There you go. Can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay. I'm asking about the North Parking Project, Rocky Point Parking and the Spooner parking projects, what those parking projects look like.
I am actually going to ask if someone else has more details on it because the parking projects itself are not NDOT's. We're working with them, showing what are the transportation hub, and we will be putting in some parking at that parking and recreational hub. I think you can see it on the map there. But on the other ones, most of it is off the highway, and that's the intent, is to improve the transit and get them off the highway, get some more no parking zones.
And what is the timeline on those?
They're looking at, I think right now they're just showing their plan. Our parking thing will start next year in 2026. And on there, and then later, we are also planning a roundabout at 28 and 50, but that's not scheduled to probably early 28.
Okay, because I just, all that public comment we did on the road diet and the solution ended up being additional parking. You recall that?
I do recall that, but this is up on 28 going up by incline.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, you're exactly right. Do we have any solutions on the parking on that 13-mile strip?
Not really we are looking at working with the locals to extend some no parking areas so that it keeps the flow going along 50. So you'll have 2 lanes in each direction, a relatively free flow. It's just such a popular place that parking is just hard to get anywhere. So that's why they're really looking at increasing some of the transit part. And we also have an upcoming I believe it's in May, but we've been talking with our California, not only with Transportation Tahoe District, but also our California partners, Caltrans, and also looking just like what kind of improvements we can do overall for accessibility around the lake.
Okay, thank you.
SR 227 Lamoille Highway Roundabout. We're installing on Lamoille Highway near Elko. The schedule is being finalized, but should start basically early May, or maybe it will probably be early May at this point. It installs 2-lane traffic roundabout on State Route 227 at Boyd Kennedy Road. Project also includes pedestrian crosswalks and connecting a multi-use path on the north side of the road, turn lanes, acceleration and deceleration lanes installed at Lamoille Highway entrance Cars Avenue, as well as the highway entrance to Spring Creek High. And this, we did notice in an adjacent roundabout, the installation at Spring Creek Roundabout did reduce the crashes by more than 80% in the 3 years that followed. So we're also looking at roundabout is a good mitigation factor to reduce any accidents. And then the very last slide I want to address, it is very much in the news on the
You want to talk about Lander County?
no.
Okay. Is that Mario's hat in the picture?
Mine's a little cleaner.
Can I move on?
Sure. It was in your thing.
All right. I want to take a moment to address the recent LCB audit, stockroom purchases, material stockpile management, and mechanical productivity 2024. The NDOT, along with all state agencies, are routinely audited on various processes through the agency. The purpose is to identify opportunities for improvement and correct deficiencies. The audit began in 2022 and finished in 2024. State agencies are also routinely audited by the governor's office. It's common to have several audits being conducted at the same time in the same year. Once an audit is complete, it is presented before the LCB Audit Committee, which is what happened with this one. The agency has 60 days to prepare and submit a corrective action response. And then after that, in 6 months, an audit is conducted to ensure the corrective actions have been taken and the result of that. As NDOT has been working on a number of these issues for a few years, we were able to submit the 60-day corrective action plan a month ahead of schedule to address all the points in the audit. One major issue was a finding of a $25 million discrepancy on stockpiles. I'd like to clarify that there is not $25 million worth of material missing. NDOT only stockpiles about $12 to $16 million worth of material a year. And we review all the materials submitted to LCB and found the following. And part of it is we went back to LCB and asked how they came up with the number so we could better understand on there. So the majority of the discrepancy was a clerical error on glass beads used in striping. The item listed 40,442 units, but it should have been 404,150 reported. Now, I also want to state that it was corrected in our system moving forward, but when it went to the auditors, they received the raw data and then the finish, so they didn't see the process in between. That accounts for just under $15 million of the discrepancy. And we're also learning that how we're measuring when they state the discrepancy, it's measured differently by LCB and NDOT, so we're counseling that. And the best example is to say if you had two piles of 5 and you're expecting 5 widgets to be in each, and one pile has 4 widgets, so -1, and one pile has 6 widgets plus 2, NDOT would say we have +1, where discrepancies there would say we have 3. So it's really learning how it's being reported and how it's being put out there. So we are working closely with them, and they have been, we reached out, and so they have been meeting with our guys going through this. We continue to try to verify, like I said, the figures, and want to note that the LCB auditors are working with us. There's value in both methods. There's value in just making sure that, of course, we have the material we should be having and it's accounted for, but also there's value in learning where the reporting needs to be tightened up. Other issues were identified and corrected, such as changing signature requirements for invoices, implementing better methods of weights and measures, and ensuring stronger controls and better record keeping. The audit mentions home storage of NDOT vehicles. This is an allowable practice for staff with proper authorizations and documentations. There are 5 different categories of home storage. The most common, of course, is for on-call that go out to report to accidents and so on. It does require proper documentation and approval, and we are ensuring that everyone's paperwork is up to date. Use of the director's office vehicle for home storage was approved, documented, and reported. We are working with staff on all the controls and procedures and continued adherence to them. And again, we are working closely with the Legislative Audit Division when it follows up to verify our compliance with the corrective action. That concludes my report. Any questions?
Director Larkin, I just not really a question per se, but the driver's edge program, my son was in that. It was extremely beneficial, and I realize that you guys don't run it. However, it was so hard to get into. I think that if you don't respond to the email immediately, that you just keep getting pushed back. It took us almost a year to get into it. So I don't know if there's anything that you can work with your counterpart on
See
creating
if
more
we can expand it.
availability or something, but it was a great program for him. Thank
I
you.
agree. It took me a year to get
Yeah,
into,
it's hard.
and I knew the guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, Director.
Governor, this is Andy Matthews. I just want to say thank you, Director, for the information regarding the LCB audit. Much appreciated. I think that's important to discuss. So thank you.
Director Larkin, Governor Lombardo for the record. Just a quick question on the audit. So it describes 25 million discrepancy. You identified 15 million in your narrative of that 25 million, right?
Correct.
So the remaining 10 million, was that the +1, +3 widget issue, or is it theft in
a good-
inventory lots? Or
No, I'm not seeing death. I'm not seeing, it's more of errors in some of how it's reporting, and a lot of the reporting of stockpiles out in the field, like sand, and that has historically been measured by a maintenance worker out there, and it is like, well, it looks about 10 feet tall. It's about 15 feet long and multiplying it. So we've, in the last 2 years, our maintenance division and asset management is looking at a couple different apps. And we are just, in the last year and a half, we've been transitioning over to a phone app that they can go around and walk around the stockpile. And we're hoping that gets a closer part, because when you measure go out, it's a very imprecise measurement. It's kind of like a teaspoon, a scant teaspoon, a level teaspoon, a full teaspoon. So it's when you look out, if someone, is taller and go, it looks 10 feet, well, maybe it was 9 feet. And that sometimes they would roll down and just take the roller and measure. So it was always very approximate. And when you move sand, if you were moving it across from one point to the other. So we do believe there's a fair amount in there. So far, Jay Pullen, our assistant director of operations, has been really spearheading, looking at the stockpiles and material. We have been able to manage up, I think we have gotten to about 18 million or 20 million in that vicinity of looking at where we can verify where the discrepancies were. And then some may have to just be accepted and right on. One of the other issues, as I just mentioned, is we have been in the middle of transitioning from one type of measurement to a new type of measurement. And that's again out for the fields, but for materials. So if you're looking at salt, sand, aggregate, those are hard to get in. But there are other areas that we feel that we can definitely tighten up closer. Telspar post, those are unit items that should be very easy to correct. And also like signs.
Okay.
So a work in process.
All right. If there are no further comments,
Actually, there is one I completely went through and neglected to say. I'm sorry. Before the last one, we have a short presentation in this on the freeway service patrol, since that's what you will be approving today. We just wanted to spout. And Juan Hernandez is our assistant chief of traffic operations. I'm sorry.
Yes. Thank you very much, Tracy. Good
I'm
morning,
sorry, I
Governor.
skipped right over that.
hey, Juan, hang on a second. Do we want to go ahead and close
No.
and move or?
No, this one was actually in there. I just skipped the slide.
Okay,
He's got
I know
a
we're
few slides.
we'll do it as part of the consent agenda later. So
We can wait till
Yeah,
doing it
let's
just
do that.
before. Okay, Juan, will you hold on? And we're going to do it just actually in just a minute, because
yeah,
Perfect.
just
We'll close it
remain
then.
at the podium there, and we'll be with you in just a second.
entirely my fault for skipping it.
All right. So we will move off of agenda item number 3 to number 4, consideration and approval of the March 10th, 2025 Nevada Department of Transportation Board of Directors meeting minutes for possible action. Do we have any questions or concern from any board members on the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Virginia Valentine, I'll move for approval.
In a second,
Member Calb, approval.
motion for approval. Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against, nay? Hearing none, motion passes. Now we will move on to item number 5, the consent agenda. Agreements P-180, 2516 and P-181, 2516, inclusive of the Freeway Service Patrol Program.
And Juan Hernandez will give you just a brief kind of overview of what this actually is.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Good morning, Governor and Chair Board members. For the record, my name is Juan Hernandez, Assistant Chief of NDOT Traffic Operations. I'm here to provide you a brief overview of the Freeway Service Patrol Program. But before that, I want to start out with providing you guys some interesting facts about congestion as it relates to traffic incident management. As you may be aware, there are several factors that attribute to congestion. Those factors being work zones, bad weather, poor signal timing, special events, bottlenecks, and traffic incidents. But did you know that for every minute that a lane is blocked, the resulting congestion takes 4 minutes to dissipate after the incident has been cleared? And for every minute that a hazard remains on the roadway or adjacent to the roadway, it increases the chances of secondary incidents by 2.8%. I say this because 25% of traffic incidents are crash related, and 22% of all crashes are secondary in nature, oftentimes being more severe than the original crash itself. National averages indicate that 18% of secondary incidents are fatal in nature. This is where the Freeway Service Patrol Program comes into play. The Freeway Service Patrol Program is a 95% federally funded program, 5% state funded, that has been operating in Nevada since 1998. FSP technicians patrol highly congested sections of our metropolitan freeways during peak traffic periods to eliminate traffic distractions on the freeway and to ensure swift clearance of incidents. The program is valuable because by actively keeping our freeways free of distractions, it improves congestion, enhances safety, improves travel time reliability, and promotes multi-jurisdictional coordination. Next slide, please. Last year, the FSP program assisted over 50,000 mitigations. FSP technicians are certified in several fields such as hazmat safety, CPR, community first aid, basic automotive repair, and traffic incident management. The program vehicles are also equipped to assist with very different types of scenarios. So for example, if there's an abandoned vehicle on the roadway which is causing a hazard on the freeway, upon direction from the Highway Patrol, the FSP technicians are certified towing professionals that can remove the vehicle off the freeway to the nearest secure location. For crashes, the vehicles are equipped with push bumpers and traffic control, and they can push, drag, or pull the crash off the freeway. They can also, some of the vehicles can also tow up to 2 vehicles simultaneously. The vehicles are also equipped with error boards and traffic incident management signage to protect the queue during large-scale incidents requiring full lane closures. And also, the program assists with situations that are outside of the normal. So for example, during 2015, during the Moapa washout, which resulted like in a 2-week road closure, the Freeway Service Patrol program technicians assisted round the clock, 24/7, assisting vehicles with that 2-hour detour route in which they provided gas or fuel for vehicles out of gas. They provided medical assistance for anybody that needed it, water, all those kind of things. So the Freeway Service Program is equipped to handle various types of situations. Next slide, please. The program has been sponsored by Geico since 2021. Before that, it was State Farm. Currently, the program receives approximately $1.6 million in sponsorship funds in addition to the federal funds. And these sponsorships funds are being utilized to offset extended hours of operation during special events, inclement weather events, construction work zones, extended limits, anything that requires the augmented Freeway Service Patrol operations. The sponsorship program is being utilized to offset that. I'm very happy to report that the program has received very positive feedback from motorists. Last year, there was over 1,700 surveys being submitted by motorists. And I just want to point out that that is a very high amount of surveys submitted, according to Geico, who reports that they receive more surveys from motorists for the Nevada program than any of their other program. I also want to point out that out of those 1,700 surveys, the program did not receive below 3-star out of 5 ranking, and 99% of the ranking was 5-star. And lastly, over 99% of the public or the motorists that submitted the surveys said that the Freeway Service Patrol technicians were professional and courteous. So with that, I'll pass it back to Tracy.
I just want to add one thing is that we did a return on investment analysis of it. And in Reno, it's a 14-to-1, and in Vegas, it's a 30-to-1 return on investment for just reduction in crashes and clearing the roadway. So it's a we've considered it a very highly valuable program.
If you were, did any members have any questions as it's a consent agenda item? Any questions on the agreements? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Reed, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Who was that, Gary? Was that you, Gary?
Yes, it was.
All right, do I have a second?
This is Andy Matthews. I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion for approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against, nay? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, we'll move on to additional business items. Beginning with agenda item number 6, signature authority presentation, informational item only. And Frank, is that you or is it going to be Maya?
Maya
Didn't
Bua.
realize,
Which one?
yeah, I didn't realize I could hand it off.
No, you can't.
Yeah, Maya Bourgeois. I'm the Division Chief of Administrative Services. And yes, I am here to update on the contracts and agreements executed since the revision of the delegated signature authority limits went into effect. They even gave me controls, so good luck. Okay. In a continued effort to streamline routine operational projects, the delegated signature authority for the Director of NDOT was increased during the November 2023 board meeting with effective dates of December 31st of 2023 to the following limits. For contracts, the prior signature authority for the low bid price was $5 million, and it was increased to $40 million. For agreements, the prior limit was $300,000, and it was increased to $10 million. Although the limits for the contracts and agreements changed, I want to point out that there was no changes to the alternative delivery methods, which are the CMARs and the design builds. Those procurement types will continue to be brought before the board for approval. Now, the new signature authority limits have been in place for a little bit, so let's take a look to see what's been approved over the past 15 months. Between December 31st, 2023 and March 31st of 2025, 5 contracts have been executed between the prior signature authority limits of $5 million and the current limits of $40 million. And there were 42 agreements executed between the prior signature authority limits of $300,000 to the current limits of $10 million. As a side note, these contracts and agreements are shown in the informational reports within the respective board packets, as well as all other contracts or agreements that have been executed by the director under the approved delegated signature authority limits. All right, let's take a closer look at the 5 contracts and 42 agreements that have been approved. Okay. Starting with agreements, we broke down the limits into smaller chunks to help provide an overview of where certain types of services landed. Between $300,000 and $1 million, there were 21 agreements executed to provide some of the following services: software systems, janitorial services, workforce development, tree trimming, crash research, drill shaft testing, bridge and tunnel inspections, and more. There were 17 agreements between $1 million and $5 million that provided on-call services for planning and inspections, outreach and education, the electronic records management system, biological consulting services, traffic control for bridge inspections, NEPA study, culvert cleaning, and more. And diving into the 4 agreements, let's take a look at those that fell between $5 million and $10 million. They included an on-call subsurface utility engineering. Oh, wait, I totally cheated. Don't look at that. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so between the 5 and 10 million range, on-call subsurface utility engineering, construction engineering services for full administration of betterment projects in District 2 for numerous pavement preservations throughout the district. Another agreement was augmentation of Crew 904 in District 2 that is associated with Contract 3996 US 50 Virginia Street to Leetville Junction to widen shoulders, provide intersection improvements, and to improve and construct a new bridge in Churchill and Lyon counties. And the last agreement was augmentation of crew 907 in District 2, which is associated with 2 contracts. The first contract is 3981, which is US 395 to Waterloo and First Street for roadbed modifications and lighting improvements in Douglas County. And the second one was contract 4500, US 395 from California Nevada state line to 3.228 miles north of Leviathan Mine Road to construct passing lanes, mill and fill, and lighting improvements in Douglas County. All right, to save us some time and to spare anyone from having me to read each contract description, of the 5 contracts that were approved between the prior limits and the current limits, 3 of them are roadway preservation projects. 1 of them is for mechanically stabilized earth wall rehabilitation, and 1 of them is to construct a roundabout. Again, all of these agreements and contracts that are signed within the director's signature authority will be listed in the informational report within the respective board packets. I mentioned signature authority limits at the beginning of this presentation, but thought it would be easier to show a condensed version of the board of directors matrix that provides more details on the designated approval limits. In this includes the amendments and requirements for contracts where the engineer's estimate is more than 10 million, the low bid price is 40 million or less, and the low bid price is equal to or more than 20% of the engineer's estimate. All right, the focus of this presentation has been on the signature authority limits. And with that, I wanted to touch on the teamwork, support, and some of the additional informational review and approval processes and steps taken behind the scenes when processing an agreement or a contract during the procurement stages. With agreements, there are about 6 different internal and formal processes that include additional reviews and approvals before an agreement is executed. It starts with internal budget acknowledgement approval request generated by the project manager and is routed to the division head, assistant and deputy directors, financial management, and the director. Before an agreement or an RFP is advertised, an internal document called an agreement summary sheet is routed to the division head for approval. And then from there, when the RFP is ready to be advertised, an internal request is submitted to the assistant and deputy directors from the agreement staff requesting approval to move forward with the actual advertisement. Prior to award, another checks and balance request is sent from the agreement staff to the assistant and deputy directors for approval to move forward with the award process. And then the final stages are the final draft agreement is sent to the deputy attorney generals for review. From there, the approval to award is released and the agreement is routed for execution. For contracts, there are many other pre-construction processes and approvals that occur within the Masterworks system before a contract is considered ready to advertise. For this presentation, I'm going to focus on contract services role with the bidding process from advertisement to contract execution. Before the contract is advertised, again, the contract services team reaches out to the assistant and deputy directors as a final checks and balances to move forward with releasing the contract. Another checks and balances process is done by contract services between bid opening and when the bid review analysis team's evaluation occurs, requesting approval to move forward from with the award process from the assistant deputy directors. From there, the bid review analysis team, also known as the BRAT, examines the unit bid prices for all bidders for reasonable conformance with the engineer's estimate. Approval to award is then routed to the assistant deputy directors, then director for their signatures. The contract is then routed for execution. Again, this high-level overview of the approval and internal signature process is to provide some insight into the teamwork, support, responsibility, and requirements that tie in with the director's delegated signature authority. And with that, you have made it through my presentation. I want to thank you for your time, and I'm available should anyone have any questions.
All right. Do any board members have any questions, Amaya?
I have a few questions. This is Frank. And thank you for your presentation. On the agreements, if we drop the limit to 2.5 million, how many would go to the board?
Thank you for your question. For the record, Maya Bourgeois. That I would have to get back to you on. We would have to crunch some numbers, but I don't know off the top of my head. So 2 million was the
Yeah,
question.
2.5 million. And then my other question, I guess this is for maybe Saj or Scott. The upcoming projects that you're going to let out, what's the dollar amount on the projects you think you have, coming up in 25 or 26?
So for the record, Deputy Sajid Solaria, Deputy Director, Member Frank, there are various ranges of the contract amounts depending on the nature of the project. They can range from anywhere from $10 million to $30 to $100 million or even more.
But how's the covered on funds? So, I mean, we're not going to have a lot of projects coming out.
Yeah, so we again, Sajid Solaria, Deputy Director, for record, we try to maximize every federal dollars from what we get from the federal government, which also has a state match. Sometimes it is 5%, 10% or more, depending on the project. We will only let out projects that we think we have the funds for.
For me, a $40 million limit is too high, personally. I'd like to see that lowered down. And the question, and same thing with agreements, the question is, what should we lower it down, in my opinion? I mean, sit here and I think you had 4 agreements over your one slide said, what, 4 jobs or 5 jobs?
It was 4 agreements between 5 to 10 million.
Yeah, I mean, for me to come here and listen to a project, I have time to do it. And so for me, I'd like to have the board listen to it and have board approval, take a little pressure off of Tracy too. So that's my opinion. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks.
So, Member Frank, what is your request? I mean, you are a board member. Are you asking the board to reevaluate the thresholds and make it
Yes.
informational only, or just make it an action item for future meeting?
I'd like to make it an action item for future meeting to maybe lower the amounts that we have placed now. I'd like to get a little, maybe, I don't know what that number is, Governor. Is it 10 million? Is it 7.5 million for construction projects? And if we can figure out on the agreements to where we don't get too far down the weeds, I think there's a happy medium that where we can lower that number too. I think sitting on a board and watching state dollars, I think it's our obligation to do that.
Okay, so Director Larkin, I guess we would provide some direction to Member Lepre and decide whether it needs to come back to the board again. I think there's a lot of history that needs to be present, or education on the reason why we made the decision back in 23. And maybe we can find a happy medium there along the way, but let's make sure all the board members are educated of what we're trying to, or what he's asking of the board to evaluate.
Put that on the next board meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Governor, this is Gary Perea. Can you hear me?
Gary, we can't hear you.
I'll try to get closer to the mic. Can you hear me now? Speak a little louder.
We're still having problems.
Can you speak a little more loudly, sir?
Hear me now? I'll speak as loud as I can.
Well, go ahead. We'll try to decipher what you're saying.
As part of this discussion, I'd like.
There you go. It's working now.
As part of this discussion about the signature, raising or lowering the signatory rate, I also would like to have, along with this, maybe a separate discussion about how the management team is going to be handling these new tariffs that are being in place and how that will affect some of the prices for the contracts.
Good part. Petroleum's going down.
Talk about how tariffs.
Member Perea, we are looking closely just at the type of tariffs and the material that they would be affecting. We don't fully know what the impacts will be on there, but we are very cognizant, particularly like of steel and other electric items. So as we move forward with some of our estimates, we're monitoring it.
So can we, for his request, for the record, Governor Lombardo, so when the director does the director's report, Member Perea, how about we try to get her to educate, provide some current. The problem is we don't know from month to month what those are going to look like, but what we are experiencing as far as purchasing, logistics and or bid contracts, what the tariffs are having an effect on. The best you can within your ability or understanding.
Yeah, we'll see what will be affected. Yes.
Is that sufficient? Gary?
Yes, thank you for that. I think it just would play into a little bit about, if we lower the signatory rate or not. I think we need to have that, it'd be nice to have that information, what, the future might look. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, hearing seen none, I'll close agenda item number 6, move to agenda item number 7, contracts, agreements, and settlements. Informational item only. It is part of the packaging provided to the Board of Directors. Do we have any questions or concerns? Any questions there in Carson City? Somebody answer, please.
This is Andy Matthews. I think we're good here, Governor. Thank you.
Jeez. All right. We will close agenda item number 7, move to agenda item number 8, second opportunity public comment. Do we have any public comment there in Carson City?
No, sir, we don't have anybody signed up for public comment.
All right. Do we have anybody here in Las Vegas? Seeing none. Anybody online on the phone?
Yes, sir, we have, I think, one public comment online.
All right. If you can hear me, please go ahead with your comment.
Caller 7506, please unmute your phone and state your name for the record. Your comment will be limited to 3 minutes.
Hi, good morning. My comment was not on this agenda item.
Go ahead.
Good morning. Hi, my comment was not on this agenda item.
Go ahead with your comment, no matter what it may be. This is your opportunity.
Perfect, great. Just going back to Director Larkin's on the audit findings and the use of the director's vehicle. Vehicle 001 appears to be a Ford Explorer, yet the director...
Ma'am?
Yes?
Would you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
I'm so sorry. This is Jennifer Long.
Thank you.
Absolutely. However, Director Larkin has submitted fuel receipts for 32 gallons for $125 at 6 p.m. being placed in this vehicle that only has a fuel capacity of 18 gallons. Her receipts also show fueling up many times on the weekends and over Memorial Day weekend. Just wondering, her comment or report to the board was that these use of the vehicles for personal use were approved and documented. So I do have concerns over that. Also have concerns over how NDOT staff was able to execute an $11.5 million contract without taking it to the board for approval or even having it placed on the consent agenda. This was done in September of 2024. Contract is P11-24-016. Last comment, I would like to know why staff has not provided an update in nearly 2 years on contract P11 or P611-22-016. That's it.
Thank you for your comment.
Governor, we don't have anybody else online.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll close the second opportunity for public comment and move for adjournment.
I'll
Motion?
move for adjournment.
Thank you, Ms. Valentine. I will second. The second was done by Governor Lombardo. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.